Hi, everyone. I'm Shubhi, and I'm deeply excited to be here today to talk about community led product and what every product manager should know. A bit about me: I work at Carta, where I'm a senior product manager and I lead Carta's early stage founder program. Before that, I was the co founder of a Y Combinator-backed startup called Insight Browser. I've spent a lot of my career building 0 to 1 products in communities and with communities. And I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you about community led product, what it is that makes communities valuable to product organizations, what a community led product looks like in practice, and how you can implement one in your company. And with that, let's get started with why are communities valuable to products. Most product managers have this drilled into their heads: make something that people want. I even have a shirt with that on it. But when you get down to asking a PM at a mid-sized or larger company what that means for them in practice, how do you know what people want? Normally, the answers you get are, my user researcher or designer does this. I sometimes sit in on support calls. Or, oh, I just look at the data. And don't get me wrong, these are all good things. But my question is, do you think that this is enough? And there was a time that this was enough, where products were built with one-off user interview projects and testing cycles. But we live in a different world today. This is Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, getting customer feedback live on a random inspirational quote he posted on Twitter. We live in a different time where we get feedback instantly online. The way software is purchased has changed. Gartner predicts that by 2025, 80% of B2B software purchases will happen online. Today, our customers aren't just reading reviews online, they're seeking the advice of peers, trusted advisors, Kim Kardashian, to help them decide what to buy. They're going on Twitter, Slack, Reddit. There is this new wave or power that consumers have, which you as a PM can get intimidated by. Or you can truly choose to embrace that your customer is the most valuable player on your team. And in this day and age, they can truly be the extension of your team. You don't need to wait for a specific user interview or phase in your development cycle to get feedback from them. You can do it ad hoc now. You can build tight feedback loops that can help you ship and iterate on your products faster. That's from Ray Dalio's principles. Enter communities. Communities activate your most empowered users to not just champion your products to others, but also help you really focus on what and who you should be building for. And why are communities becoming even more valuable? Probably because ads are becoming less effective in general, both as a means of helping users find your products, but also because people trust ads less now. Google is a great example of this. People are moving away from Google to Reddit, TikTok, ChatGPT as a way of finding recommendations they trust. According to the community report, trust is becoming really critical in building relationships and brand affinities. People are moving from social to micro communities. And for product orgs, this is really important because as products become commoditized, users stick to products that they trust and have affinities to. When customers feel that their needs and feedback are being heard and acted upon, they're more likely to form a positive emotional connection with the product and brand, which can lead to increased customer retention and advocacy. All right, now let's talk about what does a community-led product look like. And to do that, I think it's really helpful to quickly draw a comparison of product-led and community-led development. In a product-led environment, your users are consumers of your product versus community-led, where your users are also actively contributing to your product. With product-led, you're building an audience of customers versus a community of users. And it's important to pause here to differentiate between an audience and a community. In contrast with companies pushing ideas onto customers, communities pull ideas from members and improve the product or company for everyone through active participation. This fundamentally changes the process of product creation, flipping that old model on its head. You're building with community participation rather than just perceived needs. The gold star of community-led product is Figma, a design product that was deeply seated in the community. And I think Figma is so interesting, not just because it is a community-led product, but because it was the community that led to its success against more incumbents such as Sketch, InVision, Adobe. And they started in the community before they even released a product. They started by building relationships in design communities over Twitter. They found designers and influencers, got them excited about their work, famously throwing pizza parties for their early users, where they constantly updated them about their initial progress, got feedback. And when they launched a real product, they had a really excited group of users. They're also the gold standard because Figma is really well known for the design advocate program that pulled key feedback from their community, making sure their community was involved in everything that they shipped and understood the reasoning behind what they were shipping. They don't just have a forum page, but they actually allow users to build plugins and templates, which you can say, hey, isn't that just a platform? Sure, but a lot of their plugins that the users build actually make it into their product. Another great example is Notion. It is probably one of the most popular product management and productivity softwares and has remarkably one of the most successful community-led product stories. To really understand how remarkable the success of Notion is, it's important to remember that Notion was released in 2019 in a world that had Google Docs, Quip, and God knows how many other note-taking productivity softwares. I was proudly one of its first users back in 2019 when it did not have a functioning copy-paste. Even with no copy-paste, Notion's early differentiator was its communities and its ecosystems. Really early on, Notion invested in its ecosystem for its users, whether it was a marketplace for them to exchange ideas or templates. They created galleries where users could publish templates such as launch guides, habit trackers, that made these users millions of dollars every year. They really managed to create this creator economy that is incredibly active in their feedback. And this is a really, really big reason that users do not switch to other products. And similar to Figma, one of the first things Notion had done was launch this champions community, which highlighted their most active users and gave them access to their product teams. Communities can sometimes feel like a marketing spiel, but there's so much value for product orgs from them. And the best of the best companies recognize that and ensure product and marketing always work closely to be able to pull the best ideas from them. Which takes us to how do you do it, especially if you're not a startup who can suddenly build a community of product from the ground up. First things first is to identify the right sources. If you have an existing community for your product, then of course it's a lot easier. Embed yourself in it. You should be spending a lot of time interacting with these users, fielding questions, understanding product issues. If you don't, that's totally okay. There are what we call proxies, such as online support boards, your usual social media channels, such as Twitter, Facebook, subreddit groups, where you can go find these users to understand sentiment. You can also go leverage your client-facing coworkers to help foster these relationships. You can ask them to help set up product advisory boards or other panels for you and your team. At Carta, we actually use a mix of online communities and advisory boards. Since our product is used by both companies as well as their law firms, we often use their law firms as proxy users. So our partnership team sets up quarterly roundtable sessions with law firms across the Bay Area. that product managers present at. It's very collaborative. And we have lawyers review Figmas and give us their perspective on what direction they'd like for us to go in. Another quick piece of advice: make sure to always find diversity in your voices. Do not over index on one kind of user. And finally, the insights you gain from any of these communities are incredibly valuable, not just for product, but also for your sales, your partnership, and your data teams. These could help you with cross sells, upsells, understanding churn. Make sure to bring those insights back to your stakeholders. The next thing, and I hope this one is really obvious, is that it is important to find your champions. There's a lot of noise out there. You need to learn how to find the users that are your evangelizers and then motivate them to build with you. And how you motivate them can be through early access to features, the actual ability to influence product, swag, whatever it takes. Good products require great user direction. Find motivated champions to do that. If you're on Twitter, you've probably heard this before: build in public. And this mostly is about accountability. To build trust, build in public, which means be transparent on what feedback you're taking back and what you're not. Don't be afraid about saying, hey, this is not a priority, or hey, this will not go on the roadmap. Your users are spending valuable time with you. So make sure they feel respected and make sure they feel heard. And finally, measure, measure, measure. How the community has supported your efforts, either through weekly user interviews, features built through them, or if you have an online community, their engagement. The goal is to report back this data and make a business case for how community has led to better product. With that, before I close, I hope as you leave this presentation, you take these 4 things with you. To make something that people truly want, you should try to build it with them. And I mean by really, really, really including them in the process. You cannot rely on secondary sources of information or one-off conversations to truly build empathy for users. You need to be immersed in their problems. You don't need an actual online forum to have a community. There are proxies that you can build to kick off building products that are community-led. And then finally, community insights can be incredibly powerful, not just for product, but for other stakeholders as well. So share them internally. And with that, I'm very excited to chat very soon and answer all your questions. Thank you very much.